Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hello,
Yar.
Ian.
How are you,
Hi,
man?
Ian. I'm all good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. First time we're doing this. It's called 20 Minutes with Yar and Ian. Yar, introduce yourself for those who don't know you.
First of all, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure being part of this 20 minutes. It's a pleasure being part of Noco. So I'm Yar. I'm a Webflow developer, self-made Webflow developer. I've been developing websites for 5 years. I think 5 years ago, I got introduced to Webflow, started freelancing with Webflow. Really liked the platform. I got really good at it. And it's been 5 years of making great stuff. And that great stuff led me to Noco, and here we are.
That's right. You're now like almost a month here at the job as our senior Webflow developer, right?
Yes.
We're happy to have you, and yeah, the people get plenty of time to know you because we're gonna do this one bi-weekly, and yeah, the plan is to do just 20 high pace minutes where we talk about a lot of stuff, mostly the tech angle, but also very much linked to our customer base, which is B2B SaaS and tech.
Hmm.
So you already mentioned Webflow. That's of course Noco. Noco started out by using Webflow extensively. We still do. It's all about no code, low code tools for us when it comes to building the websites. So, what is your current take on Webflow as a platform, as a tool? What was the Webflow journey, and what did you see changing over those years?
Starting with the no code revolution, Noco, I guess it's a no code. So the no code revolution started like around 2012, beginning of the 2010s. The no code revolution became something, and a lot of apps came along. But Webflow always stood out as the one of the best no code solutions. And over the years, it came out to be efficient. The content management system was very efficient. The hosting, the speed, the performance, everything was much better than competitors. Even the competitors with code, like WordPress, who was the leader. I don't know if that's still, but WordPress was very much into code, and then the no-code tools like Webflow came and kind of took over them. Other tools came out recently. Framer, there was Wix for a while, Elementor.
Yes.
All these came out, but I've used Wix personally. I've used Squarespace, but when you want to scale and you want to have this customization, this full customization of the website, of your animation, of your little details, Webflow is always the best, and it gives you the ability to, even though even if it doesn't have the feature natively, you can add it yourself, and it allows you the flexibility to do that. So I can put in my own codes, make my own little widget, and I can get the task done. With Squarespace and Wix, it's more like templates, pre-made templates, and you have to put them together. Yes, it's no code, but it doesn't have that extensivity. Webflow increased in that scene, and they focused more on making this flexible solution, the solution that can be for everyone. And I think this is what made them special.
Yeah. And I think Webflow is also more, yeah, it's a little bit more heavy duty probably, right? Because there's also in terms of security features, the things that IT departments of companies who get a little bit bigger ask for a lot. Webflow accommodates to that as well, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Recently, they introduced more into the SSL certification. You can set up your own. Again, this flexibility that allows you to set up your own back end or your own codes, or you integrate your own tools, makes it much more easier for IT departments to manage the website, manage the security of the website, manage how it's done. And they keep releasing features, especially I think in the last year, in this year, 2024, they released so many features. And like, I remember I was making these tutorials last year, and if you see some of them, the platform looks very different right now. I used to make these tutorials with the platform, and even the UI and everything is different right now. It's much better, it's much more efficient, and it's even getting better. There's a lot of new features coming out, and I would love to talk more about those as well.
Yeah, man, I'm always see how enthusiastic you are about Webflow, but that's good, of course. We are as well. But when we, of course, we always keep our finger on the pulse of the market. So you already mentioned Framer, which is an up and comer. Could you, for in layman terms, this also includes me. Could you explain what the biggest difference is, philosophy wise, between Webflow and Framer? That's question one, and then question two is, where do you see Framer go from here in terms of their roadmap, the features that are coming, And how does that compare to Webflow in, say, a year from now or 2 years from now?
Framer is definitely getting a lot of attraction. It's getting very big in the market, and I'm learning. To be honest, I've used it many sometimes, and I'm learning to use it more. However, Framer is more design-oriented platform. It's more for those visual designers and how they can put together the website. It's very much like Figma. If you're familiar with how Figma works, it's very similar to Figma. The difference between that and Flow is more developer focused. It's like structure, more blocks and div blocks, and adding the structure in a developer way. I see this difference where Webflow allows you, because it has this structure in a developer way, it allows you to scale it much more. So the website that you build on Webflow, it's much more scalable. It can be like really huge website with thousands of pages, thousands of content management system.
Mm.
Framer, on the other hand, is more for a version of that, something that is very visually pleasing, but not technically very scalable. However, I see the advancement happening. I think the difference would be that Webflow will take over the enterprise clients, and Framer will take over the startup clients or the SMEs, let's say small medium businesses.
Yeah. So are we talking early stage and seed stage?
Yeah, exactly. So those will go for Framer. Definitely, it's faster, it's lighter, it's cheaper. You can launch your website quickly. Then, when you want to scale, perhaps they can shift to Webflow, and then migration is not that difficult.
Yeah,
But
exactly. And those are the conversations we're having internally and also with some customers. I recorded the Work in Progress podcast episode with Jelle, who is our founder and head of studio. Yeah, you saw it, right? And we talked extensively about Framer and Webflow as well. And we are experimenting with Framer. You are, Jelle has been as well. And we definitely see a path where we could also tailor to the more early stage startups who are budget wise don't have that significant funding yet compared to the seed stage and the scale up startups. So we can definitely see a path there where we can quickly uh, launch something for them that is indeed visually pleasing. It doesn't have all the heavy duty stuff in terms of scalability, CMS, and all of that. But at least we don't have to pass on those projects because there's so many cool startup ideas that we come across, and we have the most interesting conversations sometimes. And sometimes you just inspired by it and you want to do something, but then there's a mismatch in terms of budget. So I can definitely see a path where we have a framer offering as well. It fits perfectly in our no code, low code philosophy. And
yeah,
yeah, definitely something that's on the come up and super popular. So yeah, we'll see about that.
that's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And when I started here, we defined our why, how, and what I always say is design is in our why. So no matter what happens, if a robot builds it or if it just falls out of the sky magically, design will always be important for us. It's about beautiful aesthetics meets raw performance. That's the balance. And then so that's in our why. But no code, low code is in our how. Definitely. And whatever tool that is, if it's good for our customers, we're going to use it. Webflow has been great to us, great to our customers, and will be for the foreseeable future. But also pretty excited to add new tools to our
Yeah, to the
portfolio.
stack. Yeah, for sure.
To the stack, yeah, absolutely. So speaking of new tools, I know I've got to know you as someone who always has his finger on the pulse of everything tech-wise and tool-wise. So what are you most excited for in 2025 when it comes to Webflow?
So I guess it's inevitable to say, but is the most exciting stuff that's introduced in Webflow. I've recently watched their yearly conference. They make the Webflow Conf, and they introduced the new AI features. Some of them are already rolled out. So right now we have the content feature where you have the AI right there fixing your content, translating, giving you better content right there in the Webflow Designer, which is great because before it was hassle. And a new feature coming out, which is the AI assistant, which helps you actually build a site. So you can tell it, hey, I want a pricing section, and it just makes it for you, puts in the content, puts in the icons, puts in everything, and just lays it out for you.
And then
Of
you
course,
can tweak it yourself.
yeah, exactly. So basically, you can set up the style guide and then give it to the customer, and then the customer can go with AI and build his own, let's say, sections or websites or stuff. It's going to be super cool. It's going to be super, I think it's going to take a lot of work from developers, but I think it's going to be very helpful for clients because clients will have this autonomy where they can just go and if they have an offering, let's say, or it's a Black Friday, it's a Christmas discount, they can
Exactly.
just go in, right to the AI, give me a banner that announces my Christmas discount. It's
Yes.
right there.
So, do you think that when this is reaches its maturity, do you think that it will go more from a developer role into basically more of a facilitating or more of a consultancy role, maybe?
You always need some. The AI is already there. There are AIs that you can just give it a prompt, it generates an actual website with the code and everything. And
Sure.
ChatGPT can do that. This is there, but there is always a need for this human supervision, and the setup. There needs to be a setup for this component. I need to teach the AI this brand. Okay, this brand has this colors, has this style. So when they ask for that banner, it comes with the setup that I already taught the AI or gave it the knowledge base.
Yeah, exactly. So it can take away some inertia and it can take away the bulk. But I
Yeah,
agree, and I feel the same way about any creative work. That the human touch is so unique that it fundamentally can't be copied. It's just that AI, if you use it properly, goes for copywriting, goes for design, goes for development. If you use it properly, it takes away the bulk of your work and it leaves you with more time and space probably to add your unique human edge to it and human touch to it. That's always how I like to look at it.
exactly. And even when it comes to strategizing, so now if let's say you ask the AI, how can I make my website better? It's going to give you a lot of stuff, a lot of suggestions. Most of them are, of course, correct. However, you still need that human touch. You still need that professional that tells you, okay, right now at this stage in your business, I think you need to do some SEO, breadcrumbs, schema, plan, or you need to do this. So here's where our human touch or our experience comes in.
Yeah.
And with the help of AI, we can do this much faster. Like instead of doing it in a week, it happens in a few hours.
Fully agree. And this also goes for, you kind of alluded to it, but for example, for our CRO subscription, we're testing out new tools. And one of them is an AI CRO tool. And it can help you get up to speed, but you still need to interpret the data and the recommendations yourself. And you still need to use your experience and your sort of your human comprehension skills to make sure that recommendation actually makes sense, that it is double checked, that it is nuanced enough so that it will be implemented the right way. And I really see it the same way as you. And I have never been scared for AI taking over anything at all, to be honest. I have always seen it also at my former agency as a welcome friend, basically as a brainstorm partner or as a very smart assistant that frees up my time and space to add my unique human touch in whatever way that is, and yours and a designer's. That goes for any creative or specialist actually. So I'm actually pretty excited about it. And the one thing I also think is that I wrote this tweet recently that said something like, advancements in AI are inversely correlated to the need for people to have something that's verifiably real. So I think it all balances out in the end, to be honest.
It does. It
Yeah,
does. Yeah. To be honest, I like things are moving fast. Things are moving way too fast. Everything's advancing super fast, and companies, businesses, freelancers, we need to keep up. And keeping up as well as doing the work is something that is becoming very hectic. And here where comes AI to speed up that task, speed up this workflow, so that you can still keep up, you can still stay up to date on everything, you still do the work very efficiently, and you're learning, you're advancing as well with it. One thing about AI assistants is great. I mean, I use a lot of them. I use ChatGPT, Grok, Cloud. However, it's always important to remember that we don't have to rely on the AI fully. It's a path that can take you in a very wrong way. So you always
absolutely.
need to focus. You need to focus on that. Your touch is your decision is what matters. Your call is what matters. It's not the AI. So don't fully rely on the AI and always use your own judgment. However, it's always there to help us, makes things faster. Definitely makes things faster. That's the best part.
Yeah, I fully agree. And yeah, I like to say the AI output is as good as your input. That's also true.
as well. Yes, yes, that's
Yeah,
very
I truly, and I can see that because I use ChatGPT extensively as a brainstorm partner to outline concepts, just to get more volume, more creative volume going. But when you don't know how to prompt, and when you don't have comprehensive reading and writing skills to actually structure a prompt, the output at the end of the day takes you even more time to and hassle to with those prompts and to structure and edit the output than that it would take you
true.
to start from scratch and do it yourself.
True. Yeah, it takes you down the wrong path. It just and it takes you and it tells you stuff with confidence, and you're like, okay. But it's always like that. You need to know what to ask. You need to ask it in the right way. You need to know how to give that correct input.
All right. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Okay, to be continued. We have a couple of minutes left, and I have two more questions
Yeah.
for you. So the first one is about Webflow, and the other one is about AI. So I'm starting with the Webflow one. I've heard you talk several times already about your enthusiasm for Webflow apps. Why are
Yes.
you so enthusiastic about it, and what can it do for our customers?
So Webflow apps have been introduced earlier this no, actually late last year, and from then till now, there has been a lot of apps that have been introduced. It's helping from a developer perspective, it's helping make things faster, of course, on the website. From a client perspective, things like HubSpot, things like now Zapier, it's making their integration, their connection with the forms, their analytics, it's making lives much easier for them. I've personally set up HubSpot for many clients, and they they have this integration because they have the app right there. It makes their lives much easier. Before, this was something that was very hard. Apart from HubSpot, there are many apps that have been introduced. A colleague of mine, Keegan, his name WebBay, he's making a lot of very nice apps as well to the community. Some of them are with AI as well. So there are apps that have AI in them. Like Slater is an app that allows you to write code right there in the app, and it has an AI assistant. So all this happens right there on the Webflow platform. This is the great part. This is something that people used to say, oh, we need WordPress because it has these plugins and these extras, and that's why we go for WordPress. Webflow has that now, and in a much more efficient way.
So, can you name one exciting use case just to tease our audience a little bit, our customer base? So, what is an interesting use case that a Webflow app can accommodate to now, or maybe can do in the future?
So recently we used Graphite, Webflow app introduced by FinSuite, I think. And Graphite helps you make the schema markups on your website. So having this app on my website, directly I can set up the schema markups on the CMS collection. The CMS collection, because let's say I have a blog, I have a 100-page blog, and I want to set the schema markup. Instead of going setting up the schema markup for each blog, giving the title, the description, and everything, thanks to this app, I can just set up one, and it will put dynamically those fields. Of course, this is something that saves me so much time, and
Yeah,
it's
because
dynamic, easy.
before it required some JavaScript, right?
Yeah, but now it's done. It's You just write the title, you write the type of schema you want, and it just generates for you, and it just paste this code on your page. Bam,
Nice.
done.
All right. I did see it. I did see that you used it and that it's working well. More to come about Webflow apps. Okay, last question
A lot more.
before we Yep.
Huh?
Last
A
question
lot
before
more.
we finish. I know because you told me that you were crazy enough to actually subscribe to the latest version of ChatGPT o1. It costs $200 per month.
Yeah.
Um, so I know that you've been playing around with it over the weekend. What is your judgment here?
To be honest, like, long story short, not that worth it. It's a great tool. It's a great, much better than, let's say, the O1. It's a bit slower. I think it takes more time to think. The other day I tried to compare it with the O1 and the O1 Pro. It gave me the same answer, though the O1 Pro took a bit longer to think because it tells you I thought for 45 seconds or something like that. The worst part is that you can't browse. So this is something that I like was a buzzkill because I like it to research, or I like it to get me the most up to date features. Sometimes I use it for bug fixing. I give it my URL and go like, audit my website.
Yeah,
However, if it doesn't have the browse feature, that was not nice. Um, it's powerful, but I don't think it's worth that big difference of a price.
that's what I've heard. I
I had to
still
try
have to
it.
play
I
around
had
with
to
it.
try it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you had to try. That's the yeah, that's the nerd in you, right? You always have to try all the new tools. I love it.
exactly. It's the latest one, and it's supposed to be the best one. And I tried them all. I use Grok as well. Grok is the I think is the best one for research because it has access to the internet, has access to a lot of up to date information, especially on Twitter, X. Sorry.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Grok is great. And I think nowadays a lot of talk about Cloud Sonnet, Cloud 3.5 Sonnet,
Yes.
and I think this one is getting up there, especially in the terms of coding and structure.
I actually reviewed, I didn't review, but in my latest podcast, Work in Progress episode with Wes, we actually went over a list of a guy that reviewed the O1 Pro versus Claude Sonnet 3.5. And
Yeah,
his conclusion was the same because Claude Sonnet 3.5 only cost, I think, $20 a month. So
really good.
that's, yeah. And he said minor differences maybe in terms of quality. He divided it into categories like PhD level thinking, mathematics, coding, reasoning. And he was also not really impressed given the X10 price difference. Okay, thanks
Yeah,
for those insights, Jar. Let's leave it at that for today, but I'm looking forward to the next one.
it's been a
And
pleasure.
likewise, man. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.